In this section of the video, we're going to be doing troubleshooting and repair on the catalyst pump for our catalyzer. The very first thing you want to do is make sure that your catalyst tank is empty of material. If you disconnect this and you have fluid in here, you're going to have a big mess in the floor. So first thing to do is obviously drain out all your material. So once that's done, this is an 11/16 here. You want to disconnect your hose assembly from your tank. Loosen that up. One of the first things you want to inspect is your end where the compression fitting against your stainless steel tube insert. You want to make sure that that's good and clean, that your hose is not cut or damaged in any way, and that you have a good clean compression on the fitting. This one looks great. So just kind of put that to the side. And next thing you do is take out your clevis pin and unscrew your solvent cup to drop our pump off of the cart. Alright, next thing you want to do is, if you have a vise handy, go ahead and throw it in the vise, make it tight, and take the pump on down. Okay, from this point here, we're going to break the whole fluid section down. First is take off the hose assembly completely. It's just going to get in your way, flopping around and whatnot, so it'd be easier to just take it off. And again, you want to inspect your other end. You want to make sure your compression fitting's good against your insert, and that your whole hose and everything is intact and not damaged in any way or ripped or torn. That could have, a reason for leaking, so on and so forth. Set that off to the side, and you're going to want to work from the top down depending on your problem. I mean, if you're getting fluid coming out of the top of here, your very first thing would obviously be to check your tightness of your nut. If that's obviously good and tight and you're still getting a leak, well, now we're going to have to pop off our whole packing nut and loosen that up. Okay, and I'm going to show you the first thing to look at would be your seals. Make sure they're all intact. Make sure that this surface is good, doesn't have any grooves. That's what seals to your pump rod. And if there's any kind of damage to this, gouges, those kind of things, that will definitely create a leak. So take off this top nut here, push our seals through, just give you an idea. There's 5 of them in pieces like that. They all go one way. And set that off to the side. If that's all clean and good and everything, just to save yourself confusion, go ahead and replace that back into the nut and put your other piece back together there. That way it keeps it all together and you don't end up losing one of the seals. And just set that off to the side. Next, you're going to break the pump tube off of the base, and use that with a big crescent and a vise if you happen to have one around. Snap that off. Usually it'll be pretty tight coming off of there, so keep that in mind. Okay. So at this point I'm going to push the pump rod through and get that out. And I'm going to show you the bottom piece. This is our bottom seal, which seals to the pump rod, and that fits right in here like that, like so. Just keep that together, and again, inspect this seal as well. Make sure that there's no grooves, anything like that. Make sure there's nothing in the surface of here that would create a leak or any kind of, depending on your problem, that is. So set that off to the side, set your tube off to the side. Now grab your pump rod. I'll use that to push the guide through. Just catch one of the edges, and it's kind of a tight fit in there. You don't want to be grabbing up in there with metal things or stabbing at it with a screwdriver. This is a nice rounded edge, so I feel pretty comfortable pushing that through with this. Just want to be careful of all your parts, whatnot. There we go. Set your pump rod down. And here's our lower guide. All it is just your guide with the seal inside. If you're doing a repair yourself, this will come assembled already. But if you're pulling the seal out, trying to make sure that everything's okay, make sure that you put it back in correctly. Make sure you can see these metal fingers up, and you want to inspect this surface. It's the one that rides on the pump rod. So you want to make sure that that's good, free of damage, so on and so forth. And this top Teflon O-ring goes over top of that, so you want to be aware of having that as well. Inspect it, set that to the side. What we have here is our pump rod, and this is pre-built with a carbide ball and our ball seat and a gasket and a ball cage. Everything is assembled and tested before it leaves, so there really isn't any reason you should be getting into the pump rod. The only reason you should need it would be if you have debris and whatnot in your catalyst, and it happened to get into the pump rod, and it's not allowing our carbide ball and seat to properly seal up. So keep in mind always to straighten your catalyst before you put it in. Be wary of your material that you're using. You could shake this pump rod to make sure everything's working properly, that your ball's not stuck or whatever. You can hear a little tick in there. I don't know if you can pick that up. So that just shows that it's properly working and installed. There's no hang-ups or nothing like that. That you have a little bit of travel in there where your ball seats when it's on the up and the down. So this should be all. There really shouldn't be any problems with this. If you have further problems, it'd be good to call CA Tech, and we can help you out with that. You always want to be very sure of your pump rod surface. Make sure that you're not using any kind of tools, such as vice grips or pliers or anything like that, grabbing it, trying to twist it. Any kind of surface damage on this will definitely create a leak. So you want to be careful of your pump rod. And that being said, go ahead and set this off to the side. And this is our concentric ball check, and that is what seals to the surface down here before our fluid's coming in. So you want to inspect the side of this, make sure that there's no dings, anything like that. There's a carbide ball seat in here, I'll get to that in a second. And you want to also inspect your seal. Make sure you feel it, there's no dings or nothing like that. And that seat's just inside, same way as the guide. You want to look at all the metal fingers, make sure there's none broken, anything like that. Once you've done that, set it down, and we're to the base now. And this will be one of the last things you're going to check, and this is mainly for, like I explained with the pump rod, the seating surface in there. If there's debris and stuff between the ball and the seat itself, will definitely cause a creep and create your pump to offset, and you're going to have to reprime and start the whole thing over. So what you want to do is crack this free, once again, with your big channel or big crescent wrench if you got one, and just crack it off. And so here's this. There's no ring in there. This is our carbide ball seat. You can see the one shiny edge there, and that's where our ball makes our seat. So you want to make sure that there's no grooves. You definitely don't want to take any kind of sharp tools or anything trying to get this out, digging it out, anything like that. Any kind of damage to this surface will not allow your pump to seal. So that's how that sits in there. Now we have all of our parts, and we start the build back up.